For those of you who haven't been on this channel before, this might be a slightly new experience because I'm uploading this on Thursday. Well, technically not true. I'm recording, editing, and uploading on Wednesday night, and then by Thursday morning it will go up. You might be like, but isn't it supposed to be scheduled for Friday? Yes, but there's no games on Thursday, so fuck it, let's get it out of the way. Especially since I have the night off tonight, so I got to just sit down and watch the Fever play the Mercury, and then write the script as I'm watching that, and then just record, and then edit, upload, go the fuck back about my business. Also, you guys probably can't tell because of the camera angle and whatnot, but my stomach has been getting bigger. It feels like I'm carrying a bowling ball around with me. And that's because the only thing good about my life right now is that I have enough money that I can just keep eating away the pain. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Island. This is WNBA Weekly, the show where twice a week, usually on Mondays and Fridays, I will stand in front of this camera, talk about things that happened recently in the association and things I'm looking forward to in the upcoming days. We had a busy slate of action this week. Starting with Wednesday, you have Washington Mystics versus Dallas Wings, and there were so many things similar about this game. You had Elena, Delle, Donne, and Skylar Diggins each leading their team with 23 points. Both teams had 5 players in double figures, but the biggest difference was that Washington had more rebounds, more blocks, more assists, less turnovers, and at the end of the game, Washington ends up winning their 5th straight, and Dallas has now dropped 3 in a row. You had the Storm versus the Stars. Kayla Mcbride, for the 2nd game in a row, she scores at least 20 points. But Seattle, all 5 of their starting lineup were in double figures, including Sue Bird, who also added 9 assists. She's the league leader in assists right now. Keeps getting closer and closer to that all-time record. San Antonio stays winless on the year. And then the last game of that night, you had Nneka Ogwumike with her first double-double of the season, and the Sparks managed to overcome the Sky, who were surprisingly competitive. And Brian Agnew, he gets his 300th win as a professional basketball coach, including both his records in the WNBA and the ABL. Then on Wednesday, you had 2 games in action. You had a very low-scoring affair between the Dream and the Liberty. Neither of these teams was really shooting all that well, but the Liberty were crashing the boards. Stokes and Charles alone combined for 32 rebounds. Tina has another double-double. The Liberty, they never trailed once in the game. They go on to get a win. And then you have the Mercury versus the Fever. Dupree continues to have another great season, leading the team in points. She's been a great presence for the Fever. Unfortunately, Brittany Griner has just been on a whole nother level this season. She sets another career high, 38 points in this game. They go into overtime and they're able to grab a win. And the Fever, for the first time this year, lose on their home court. So after 2 days full of excitement, here are your new updated standings. So before we move on, let's talk about a few things I feel like pointing out this week. You've got the Fever and the Stars are the only 2 teams in the league currently winless on the road. You've got the Lynx, the only team currently undefeated on the road. You've got the Sun, the Sky, and the Stars, the only teams in the league winless at home. And with the Fever's recent loss, you now have the Sparks, the Mystics, and the Lynx, the only teams undefeated at home. And something that I hadn't thought about until it was pointed out to me as I'm watching this game, the New York Liberty had not faced an Eastern Conference opponent yet this year. The Liberty have been number 1 in the Eastern Conference for the past few years, and this year their first 7 games were all against Western Conference opponents, which I hadn't taken note of. But yeah, they're about 500 against them, but now with the victory over the Atlanta Dream, they're starting the year undefeated against Eastern Conference opponents. And then you have the Atlanta Dream, who just a short while ago, they only had 1 loss on the year, and they were in that number 2 spot, and 2 straight losses have slid them all the way down to 7. Now, on the one hand, it's still early enough in the season that you can't really count anyone out. I mean, technically San Antonio could still get 20 wins on the season. No sane human being on this planet actually expects that to happen. So go put odds down at Vegas, because I'm pretty sure a $1 bet could get you like $2 billion, because that's just impossible basically at this point. But technically, they are capable of doing it. So you can't actually count anybody out yet. We're still at a point in the season where 2 losses can jump you up from 9th place and missing the playoffs to 4th place and I've got home court advantage. You may think I'm being unfairly critical of the Dream, but I have to balance out with all the people who are unfairly praising them, because most of their wins have not been against quality opponents. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Sue Bird. At the beginning of the season, while I think most people did expect it, there were a few people who expressed doubts at her ability to have like 200 assists in a season, because it isn't something that happens every day. You have a right to hold doubts, but with the new look of Seattle, the roster that they have, her role is basically just to set up the offense, not necessarily run it. So the assists are coming in bunches for her. That being said, even though she's only going to finish number 1 on one of these lists, I still feel like taking time to talk about some of the other lists that she is in the top 10 on. We'll start with, of course, assists. She's number 2, and at the pace she's going, she'll hit number 1 with 2 or 3 weeks to spare in the season. She also recently passed Katie Smith in the last game for 10th all-time in scoring, and she's only 6 points behind Alicia Milton-Jones for 9th. And then she's also 8th in career steals, and she's 6 3-pointers behind Tina Thompson for 4th all-time. I feel kind of blessed to be able to watch the league when it's young and still growing, because I get to watch legends happen. Sue Bird is a rare breed in the same category of people like Diana Taurasi, Tamika Catchings, Tina Thompson. There are very few players right now that are in the top 10 in 4 different categories. And those are just like the most obvious stats that are readily available. If you wanted to dive deeper, there are so many others, like games played, games won, so many other statistical data that you can find to support the fact that Sue Bird is fucking awesome, Diana Taurasi is fucking awesome, Tamika Catchings is fucking awesome. We get to watch legends set the bar for the next generation. So now we move on to a few games I'm looking forward to this weekend. None of them are being broadcast, so be sure to check your local listings, or you can watch every single game on WNBA League Pass. And as always, don't forget to adjust for your time zone, because every time that I'm saying will be Eastern Standard Time. On Friday, you've got a lot of very interesting action. First, you've got at 7 the Lynx versus the Mystics, the number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed. With basically the same story we had last week with Seattle versus Minnesota. Minnesota still undefeated, just keep creating more and more space between them. But the Mystics, they are playing hot. They're coming in on a big winning streak. They've gotten 5 in a row, so now who knows? They're still undefeated at home, but the Mystics are undefeated on the road. There's no guarantees. I mean, with Minnesota, who knows? They will eventually lose at some point in time. I doubt that there will ever be any team to actually go 32-0 in the league. But will it be this one? I can't say. You've also got the Storm versus the Fever. The Fever just lost their first home game, and it looks like it could be 2 in a row, because the Storm, they look like they're pretty much clicking on all cylinders. Except for against the Lynx. That was their pretty much only bad game they played this year, which, to be fair, it's hard to have a good game against a team as well-rounded as the Lynx. In the last game of the night, you have the Sparks versus the Wings at 8, and the Sparks, they've had a fairly tough schedule. Unfortunately, in this league, you're not always going to have an easy night. You know, if you want championship aspirations, you have to find a way to win against the tough teams. They are on a long losing streak, and it looks like it could get longer. Then on Saturday, you've got a couple games. The Dream versus the Sun. Connecticut, still one of the only teams the Dream have actually been able to beat this year. So you could have a bounce back, or Connecticut could just keep playing better and better every year and start surprising some people down the stretch. You've also got the Sky versus the Stars, and this game will be very telling, because these two teams are combined 1-15 on the season. And with the Chicago Sky, I believe in them still. I don't think you can completely count them out, but I lose more and more faith with every game they play. This game will be very telling, because if they can't even beat the Stars, then yeah, you can pretty much count their season out. And then you finish off Saturday with the Sparks versus the Mercury. Then on Sunday, you got 3 games. 2 of them are at 3 p.m. One of them is the Storm versus the Liberty. UConn legends Tina Charles and Brianna Stewart going head-to-head. That'll be a fun matchup to watch. We also got the Fever versus the Mystics. The Fever still winless on the road. Doesn't seem like it'll change against the Mystics, who, as of right now, as of recording this, Washington still completely undefeated at home, currently on a 5-game winning streak. But they play Minnesota on Friday, so both of those could change. So either way, it doesn't seem likely that the Fever will be able to win this, because either Washington comes into this game, they're really, really hot, and they've got 6 straight wins, still undefeated at home, and they just knocked off the number 1 seed, or they're looking to bounce back from a really tough, humiliating defeat, and they're going to come out angry and demolish them. Either way, I expect the Fever to lose this game by like 20 points. And then the last game of the season is the Lynx versus the Wings. Dallas, one way or another, even if they go undefeated over the weekend, they'll still be under 500. So they really, they can't afford too many losses. They can't just give games away. And the last time they played, they only lost by 2 points to this team. But the Lynx, however, no matter what the outcome, they'll have plenty to fight for. Either they'll still be trying to stay undefeated, or they'll be trying to bounce back from their first loss, looking to avoid getting knocked out of first place completely. Well, that's it for this episode. Tune in on Monday for another all-new edition of WNBA Weekly. And until then, this has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Nile. Hope you have a great day.